Hey, ladies and gents, Joe here, the guy who says to go see Godzilla -1. Honestly, super amazing movie. It hurt my already really damaged sleep schedule, but it worked out. You know, it was a really good movie. I just wish I didn't wake up late today. But I'm also here to talk about UFC Fight Night, Song versus Gutierrez. So enough talk. Let's get to the fights. Main event. Best division, I think, in the world. I think flyweight's up there, but I still think it's bantamweight. Pretty interesting fight, too. You have Yadong Song taking on Chris Gutierrez. This fight was expected to be a striking-only affair. In the first round, we saw that. We saw low kicks from both guys, kind of a low kick, heavy attack. Song Yadong trying to get his boxing going, and just kind of using low kicks to try and make it work, while Gutierrez always kicks the leg pretty hard. Second round, it was a pretty close round, but Song ended, he got eye poked, and then like afterwards, after he came back out, he just got a double leg and just maintained control for the rest of the round. Third round, you can kind of see that the momentum is purely in Song's favor, as his mixing up, or the threat of the takedown, which he does get another one in this round, but the threat of the takedown is really helping out his striking, and he's just kind of cruising. Round 4, big overhand right, does drop Gutierrez, but he can't finish him even though he tries. But in the fifth round, you know, it's just more of the same. He just kind of has full control of this fight and takes a very easy unanimous decision win. And after the fight, Song Yadong called out Petr Yan. Petr Yan said this fight was boring. Then Song Yadong said that Pyotr's last fight was boring when he lost to Merab. And I got to be honest, I always find it funny when two guys who have completely different first languages, right? Song is, Chinese, and Petr Yan is, he's Russian. So they have different first languages. Their second language is English, sort of, like they're both getting better at it, but it's not like they're like super fluent in it. I always find it when two guys decide to talk trash into a common second language, because it always devolves into like something you've heard on a schoolyard, you know? I think it's always kind of funny, like when two guys like have to kind of meet in the middle, and since their grasp isn't as good, on that language, they just kind of devolve into, well, I know what the word boring is, and I can definitely call you that. That's what it always feels like to me. It's always really fun. Honestly though, that fight does sound sick. Song has shown that he has worked on his wrestling, and his boxing is very good. I just wish he cut the cage a little bit more, but his boxing is really good. And Petr Yan, despite losing his last fight to Merab, admittingly, like, who doesn't lose to Merab? And it wasn't a boring fight. Merab just dominated him, and it was kind of impressive to watch, I thought. He also beat the current champion clean. I don't care what anyone says as far as I'm concerned. I still think Petr Yan won that fight. So he isn't like he's washed up yet, Like, ooh, you lost to Aljo. You beat Sean O'Malley. You lost on the scorecard somehow. And then you lost to Merab. Well, two of those guys, like, usually beat everybody. So, I think that sounds like a really good Apex main event, though, personally. I think it's going to be one of those main events where you kind of go, oh, man, this card has like 40 fights on it that have no impact. But hey, at least that main event's good. I think that sounds very accurate to what they're going to do this fight for. It'd be really cool if it was like a main card opener on a pay-per-view. But I'm super down for it. That fight could have some good, what I'm trying to think with ramifications is the word I'll use. Ramifications for this division that I think needs to continue this momentum after getting a guy who likes to pick and choose his own shots for his own benefit as champion. I think you need that you need great fights to kind of maintain momentum before this guy loses it all. So in the co-main event, let's talk about the thing that everyone's probably going to be talking about. Anthony Smith taking on Khalil Rountree Jr., or as I refer to Anthony Smith, Professor Farnsworth, his child clone he had. Out the gate, Anthony Smith wants to put on the pressure, obviously to try and hopefully get a takedown. Use the striking to get into that distance with striking, the pressure, and then some grappling. But man, that power, speed, and technique of Khalil Rountree is just too much, and he is just lighting him up. Just out the jump, just lighting him up. And, when the more technical striker has just oodles and oodles of more power, then it's a big problem. And when that technical, more powerful striker is hitting you almost at will, it's even bigger problem. So second round, really early on, Anthony Smith gets wobbled super hard. And he recovers, and he's just getting eaten up in this rest of this fight. Then the third round, final round, Khalil Rountree, I believe it was a right uppercut into a left straight, which just gives Anthony Smith one of the craziest chicken dances I've ever seen, ever. It was one of the craziest chicken dances, at least in recent memory. Obviously, recency bias, but I would say in recent memory, it's probably one of the crazier ones. And he hits the mat, and Khalil Rountree is just sitting there walking up with like a comically cocked, overly like dramatic hammer fist just ready to go. And the ref calls it. And I got to say, great job for holding back in that, because he could have swarmed him and beat the hell out of him, even more so. In my opinion, I think those super necessary moments are not the fault of the fan or the fighter. I think they're the fault of the referee, because you go into that fight mode, that trance where you go from like, hey, how's it going, to like, I'm killing a guy, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to have that mentality in there a little bit. So I definitely understand that. And, it's the ref's job to break you out of it and break in the fight. That's it. So I always tend to blame the ref there instead of the fighter, because it's really hard to break out of that, I feel like, without outside help. So I think it's a really good sign when a guy can break out of it. Like, we have moments like, it makes you really appreciate the times where guys, just hold back like that. The walk-off KO, so to speak. Like, Khalil Rountree had a great one here. And I thought he had another one too, but I can't think of it at the top of my head. Mark Hunt, though, the king of the walk-off. And, Mark Hunt had like so many of those KOs in a division where everyone is giving each other brain damage with every jab, it feels like, So it makes you really appreciate those, especially after the horrific, I'm still thinking about it, Bobby Green, Jalen Turner one from last week. Really commendable to save a fighter from a potentially awful ref stoppage, is my opinion on it. It's a really sticky scenario, and I could see my viewpoints on the super necessary thing not being agreeable, and I understand that. I'm always interested to hear what you guys believe in those moments. Like, I love how that's what we call it now, because Masvidal with Ben Askren, and I know some people kind of say, oh, it's because Ben Askren was talking so much crap, and Masvidal's that guy, like that douchebag that's just going to keep going. I think necessarily, like, it's more so the fight energy hasn't stopped. Like, the fight energy is still pumping, and it's the ref's job, I think, to break it up. That's my personal opinion. I'm really curious what you guys think on that. And let's be honest, that we can kind of gush over how awesome of a character it showed from Khalil Rountree. Rest of the card, though, Nasrat Hakparast. I believe I said that right. Oh, God. I'm almost doing this 2 years, and I'm still fumbling names. But he got a big TKO stoppage in the first round over Jamie Malarkey. Tim Elliott had a huge win on short notice against Sumadarji with a sick arm triangle choke in the first round. Once he got the takedown, Sumadarji kind of bundles up, and Tim Elliott has to flatten him, and then he just takes the arm triangle. It was a great gutsy win from a guy that's always a bundles of fun. And I feel bad for Sumadarji as he gets tapped out easy, but he has some really fun striking, so I kind of hope he sticks around as like a fun striker in that division. Andre Muniz, he got a close win over Junyoung Park. Kevin Jose beat Song Kenan by decision. Hyung Sung Park got a TKO over Shannon Ross. Steve Garcia got a TKO over Melquizal Costa, that had Costa wrestling the referee after the fight. I always find those a little humorous, even though they're kind of like, when you really kind of step away, it's like, it's kind of scary. Luana Santos beat Stephanie Egger by decision in a not so great fight that had people over watching going, ugh, okay. Tatsuyo Toyota got a lot of fans with this performance with the TKO win over Carlos Hernandez. I saw a lot of people talking about him on Twitter, so that's fantastic. That's great to see. And finally, Toledo and Alucard beat Ryan Amanda by split decision. Yeah, it was an okay card. Yeah, it was fine. It was a good, started off as a good come me down after the excitement of Godzilla -1. But that's it for me. And if you guys truly miss me, and listen, I know the truth. I'm not going to tell anybody. You do miss me. I get it. I'm very aware that you do miss me. Then go and check out the retro review for UFC 1 on the second channel, INC Live, right here. whenever you can. It's fantastic. Share it if you want, because it would be really sick to see the retro review series really blow up. It's something that it's kind of my pride and joy here on the channel. And, me and Carl look at it like our pet project. It's really fun to play with and have fun with. Also be on the lookout for the preview show that me and Carl did, because we just did it yesterday, and I'm imagining that it's going to come up before this video, so it's probably already on the channel now. Check it out if you can. It's really exciting for next week's pay-per-view, which actually looks like a pretty solid card. And if I had to guess, it would be up now at this point. But I'm Joe with the INC. Thank you so much for watching.